We live in a world ruled by tyranny, where knowledge is suppressed and ignorance is glorified. A world where propaganda and misinformation travel the airways at the speed of lies. But in the midst of the violence and chaos, a great awakening is taking place. And as the media empires continue to collapse, a new network is forming. A network of truth, a network of courage, a network of awareness. Peace and greetings. You are now tuned into the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, where we examine current events, politics, health, finance, and topics of cultural relevance in America and throughout the world, while bringing you insightful interviews with guests that will both educate and inspire you. And now, your host of the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, Aura the Informationalist.
Nothing like this.
Please just tell me what's happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo.
My aura is a network full of awareness and gifts like Aura, the informationalist.
How you doing?
Yes, peace and greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world. And shout outs and peace and blessings to all my network of Awarians. You're now tuned in to a live broadcast of the Network of Awareness. And in this bonus episode, we have an episode called The Past Has Truth Worth Remembering. And in this episode, I'm going to share a past episode from a podcast that used to be on this network that is no longer in existence. But that doesn't mean that it can't come back as something new to start a new beginning for a gift that was so bright and so inspirational and impactful. And what I mean by that is that in this episode, we're going to go back. And this is a throwback episode from the Righteous Rap Academy from Take One. And this was the episode I'm going to play was episode 3 where he got to interview me. And this was fresh into his podcasting career. Now, in his first season, he slowly but surely started finding his voice. But it was very evident from the very first episode that this was something that not only that he was good at, but that was going to be able to inspire other people and bring great substance and edification in a way that was unique and authentic, and plus had a lot of fire music that came from him and the fellow brothers that he did work with. Now, the reason why I decided to share this episode, which is, it's not even an episode that he knows that I'm sharing, but I used to do all the editing from the podcast. So I have a lot of the episodes archived from when I would edit them. So I did some editing on this particular episode and condensed it because it was a little bit longer, had a lot of dead air in it. So I took the dead air out and, put it all together. And something came over me and inspired me to do this because the reason is for a couple of reasons, and I'm going to share them before we even start the episode. Because number one, this podcast is no longer available, right? And I'm hoping that it might inspire Take to do another podcast because it was something he was really good at. Number two, It's also very important to remember our past, especially when it comes to our gifts and abilities that come from our Creator, the Most High, so that we can understand that that gift is in us to serve great purpose. I hope that this episode provides great inspiration to you listeners around the world, and to remind you that when you live in the present, it's always an opportunity to start a new beginning from the old things we used to do in the past. And it's never too late, brothers and sisters. So with that being said, another thing I wanted to mention, because it was, it's something that I just came across, and I was doing some exercising last night, and I was with my dog, and this episode just popped up on my phone from my saved files that are stored in my Dropbox on my phone. So once it started playing, I started listening to it, and I was like, wow, this is really great, because it reminded me of a couple things. It reminded me of this great episode we had that I completely forgot about when he interviewed me. Also, how it was so early in this journey that he was taking on podcasting, because a lot of you may know him as a very gifted spiritual MC, which he definitely is. But podcasting was definitely something suited for him because he has a voice for many things that the Most High has gifted him for. And it also brought me back to some bad things. And what I mean by bad things is that even when it's bad, it's still all good. And what I mean by that is that, there was a man that, we've talked about on this podcast, but we never mentioned his name because his name is not worth mentioning. But it's good to give context because a lot of people that kind of know my personal story with this situation know that it was a bunch of lies that were sown against me. And because of that, it had an impact on several people that were very close to me, and even some of the people that weren't close to me but did admire my work. And based on one man's lies, it kind of skewed things. Some, it skewed it permanently, right? And what I mean by that is that sometimes you're going to have people lie about you, and because other people may admire, venerate, or have a sense of love for that person, they're going to believe whatever that person says, no matter how asinine or bogus is what they're saying. And a lot of times that's because, and you see this a lot within congregations, you see this within groups, teams, so many different types of community groups or gatherings around the world suffer from this psychosis where there's usually some form of a leadership, or it could be just one person. And whatever that person says goes, no matter how crazy it may sound. I mean, when you think about Jim Jones was a guy from the past in the 1970s that basically got everybody to drink the Kool-Aid. And that's where that term drinking the Kool-Aid comes from, because the Kool-Aid was filled with cyanide. And there was a lot of people that knew he was crazy, and a lot of those people got killed. And then the people that venerated him drank the Kool-Aid and died. And he told them that they had to drink it because they had to leave this world because it was not fit for them no more, and they were better to die than to live in this world. But in reality, the reason why he did it is because based on his actions, when he killed this United States senator and the people that was with him, he knew that it was going to be very soon to where the United States government was going to come down and rain their power on him and basically shut him down, arrest him, and put him in prison and all of those other things. And all of his lies and wickedness would have been exposed, and he would have lost everything that he had. So he knew that. So like the coward that he was and the fraud that he was, because he was claiming to be some type of Messiah, he was claiming to be this fraud, and he led his people to destruction. And he led them to complete death. And a lot of times you have people like this, that they have a certain amount of respect. They have certain organizations They have certain platforms where people follow them and they have a cult-like following. And a lot of times those people are so delusional from seeing that which is truly right in front of their face. But because they love, admire, and venerate people, they don't allow themselves to see it because they think that these people are right. And sometimes you have it out of a state of fear where they don't want to go against that because they feel like that same leadership or what they deem as a leader is going to go against them. And if they go against them, they're going to receive some type of punishment, and they're no longer going to be a part of this group that they've become accustomed to. It's the same thing like a family. Sometimes you don't want to go against the family. There's been plenty of times where you'll have, and this happens a lot in families, where somebody will be molesting a child in the family. It could be the father, the uncle, the aunt, but it's somebody that everybody in the family respects. So they kind of sweep it under the rug, even though the child kind of exposes it. But the child is made to be believed as a liar, and they kind of sweep it under the rug. This has happened probably millions of times throughout the ages. I know personal stories of people this has happened to, and it's usually because the person who's doing the molesting is revered in the family, or if it's the father, the mother doesn't want to support it and she kind of casts it away, so on and so forth. There's so many different examples. But this is the psychosis that as we're evolving as human beings, we need to stop supporting this type of behavior. And a lot of times you have to be what's called the black sheep or the anomaly to this madness and this bullshit. And I'm grateful that I've never been the type of person to just go along to get along when I know that there's a lot of wrong. And when this discord was sown against me, this wasn't the first time this type of behavior was displayed. This was something that was done many times before me. It just so happened that when it was done towards me, it had a very profound and significant impact on certain people. And one of those people happened to be Take. And we've talked about it on this show, right? And, the good thing is that it wasn't permanent with Take. It was very temporary. It was like a glimpse with Take. With other people, it was. And hey, it is what it is. It's unfortunate because we're in situations where we help brothers and sisters. We help people that we consider friends, and we show them nothing but love and charity and compassion, only for them to shit on you anyway, based on their allegiances to organizations or to people. You see it sometimes in congregations. You see it a lot of times, not only in congregations, but in gangs, right? There'll be a leader of a gang that's doing something wrong, and then one of the gang members points it out, and then the leader makes an example of them and tells all the gang members to go against them. And next thing you know, that gang members got people trying to kill them or outcast them, and they're no longer part of the gang. They get beat up. I mean, so many different examples. And a lot of times, that is a good thing because it gets that person out, right? But then there's other people that are still there, deaf, dumb, and blind and lost in the sauce. And a lot of times when these types of things happen, it's unfortunate, but it's one of those things that until people wake up out of this idol worship, it's going to continue to happen because it's been happening since the days of antiquity. Idol worship. And there's always usually some type of man and women too. This happens with women, but you see it more with men, where men claim these positions of power as if they're the only answer and the only truth. When if you really do your research, the only truth is that which is and always will be is our great creator, the Most High. That's the only truth that is the truth. There is nothing else. Everything else is an illusion. Infinite love is the truth. Everything else is an illusion. But as humans living in these cardinal bodies, and a lot of times we feel shamed if we don't go along with the crowd. And a lot of times we are so delusional that we get misguided. We get misled by people. And depending on the amount of time that you've invested with that person, it's harder and harder to get away. Just like it's harder and harder for a wife that's been in an abusive relationship to get away if she was in that abusive relationship for 15 years. Just like when somebody's in an abusive relationship with a narcissist, whether it be male or female, the longer they're in there, the longer that they've been gaslighted and love bombed and manipulated, the harder it is to get out. The fortunate thing is that when it comes to Take, he got out fairly quickly. And what I mean by that is that even though that Discord led him to canceling this podcast, that was really a great podcast, he was still able to come back. And a lot of it had to do with the Most High working in him and also sending people to him to remind him what was important, what actually had value, what was actually real, and what was actually fake. And what he got to figure out is that this man was real fake, and he is still present day. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know, I can pray for him and hope that he repents for all of the wrongdoing and for his psychosis. But a lot of times, when you have a delusional, grandiose narcissist that really thinks more of themselves than what they actually are, and they can't find any type of humility in who they truly are, if they truly look in the mirror, most of the times those types of people are not going to repent. And that's just the fact of the matter. And there's really nothing you can do. You can hope for the best for those types of people, but chances are they're not going to change or evolve. And that's just the situation where a lot of people just don't. And it's going to continue to be like that. There are those people that do change and evolve and become better versions of what they used to be. And there's those that don't. So I'm going to play this episode. I hope that it gives you great edification. Hope it gives you great substance, because as I was listening, it did for me. And it just kind of reminded me of that, of like what can happen, you know. And unfortunately, this podcast got canceled because of lies. You know, a lot of people thought that I was the one that canceled this podcast, which was absurd. But that's how powerful these types of people, that's the type of power of manipulation they have. That it's almost like it's spiritual warfare. It's like they're casting a spell. And a lot of it stems from, and I'm going to read something to you, it stems from this, because when it came to this particular individual that was so in this Discord, this man, who had a lot of help, by the way, it wasn't, you know, he had a lot of help. And when I mean he had a lot of help, he had a lot of help. He had a lot of help behind the scenes. He had a lot of help from principalities that we cannot see. But it was a blessing in disguise. So something I want to read to you when it comes to narcissism. It says, malignant narcissists have a very hard time with envy. Their ego will not let them accept that emotion. Now listen clearly to the next sentence, because this is so accurate. And when it comes to the way the mind works. See, psychology is a study of the spirit of something from a long time ago that's now been interpreted into some form of like some type of terminology and way of thinking, some form of science. But science is an interpretation of spirituality, of spirit. So, and of the human experience, which is a spiritual experience, right? It's a physical experience, but it's within the spirit. So it says, the ego will not let them accept that emotion. Here's why. It is too shameful for them. So they turn their envy into contempt. And see, that's what this man had for me for quite some time. A lot of people used to tell me that too. It's like, this man's got a lot of contempt for you. This man's got a lot of jealousy and envy. But with the narcissist, they can't really embrace the envy, because envy is not going to lead to certain behavior. Envy is going to be envy. But when a person has contempt, it can lead to some really wicked behavior, as it did for this individual. They want to destroy everything that is both beautiful and good about you. See, and this is the thing. One of the beautiful and good things about me is that I made a connection with a brother that's a lot younger than me, young enough to be my son, but made a really direct connection to him because the Most High willed it to be. Nothing happens by accident. There is no such thing as coincidence. And that same relationship that I had with this young man being Take, he didn't have that relationship. Why? Because he's the type of person that likes to use and abuse, because that's usually what narcissists do. They're establishing relationships with you to use you, to exploit you. That's what this man does. He exploits people so that he can gain some type of monetary favor. And he does. And he does it well. There's no real sincerity in what they do for you, because what they're doing for you is really for themselves. And I want people to really understand that, because you might be dealing with a person like this right now. So it says they want to destroy everything that's both beautiful and good about you. They want to destroy everything that is missing in them. And at the end, these relationships, people feel broken because their spirits were crushed on a daily basis. Something in the past doesn't allow them to connect. And I'm pretty sure that that's exactly what it was with this individual. And many people know that. That's why a lot of people don't follow him no more. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. A lot of people that still do follow him is because they haven't come to that understanding yet that they're being bamboozled. They think that he loves them. They think that he supports them. But in actuality, they can't see what is really happening, that they're being exploited. And some people are loyal to their own detriment. And that's what happened with Tate. He was loyal to his own detriment before a hot second. And then he woke up out of that spell. But unfortunately, because of that, something happened. And what happened? The Righteous Rap Academy ceased to exist from the lies. So because of the lie, the truth wasn't able to prevail. It came back, but something had to be lost in order for something to be gained. And what was lost was the Righteous Rap Academy. But it's okay, because I hope that even if this episode doesn't inspire Take to do another podcast, I hope that this episode inspires you to do something that you let go of because of someone or something that happened. And I'm here to tell you, to make you aware that whatever you used to do that was good, that you're not doing anymore, you need to start doing it again so that you can feel the presence of the Most High in you that was once in you. So with that being said, without further ado, let's play this episode. And I called this episode, I don't even know what this episode was called for episode 3, because I don't remember. But I'm calling this episode The Past. Okay? The past, and also that the past has truth worth remembering. Here we go.
Shalom, people. It's Take One here, bringing you guys episode 3 of the Righteous Rap Academy. Today should be a relatively good show, or great show. I have along with me, who I'm interviewing, Aura, the informationalist. Very, very special man of the Most High indeed. He's definitely been a very impactful individual in my life. So today we will be discussing, topics in regards to music, spirituality, and you'll be hearing it from out of the horse's mouth himself. So enjoy the music, and when we come back, we're gonna bring him in and we'll go from there. Hope you all had a wonderful Sabbath. All praise to Yah. Yes, yes, yes. We are here. Faith over fear. Yes. Hope you guys enjoyed that song. You know, of course, can't take credit. You know what I'm saying? That was given to me personally by Aura himself. Very inspiring song. It's called Don't F with Yas Children. Trying to keep it clean for the little ones. It's a beautiful night out here in Gainesville, Georgia. Can't complain. Like I said, just enjoyed the Sabbath. Really got the time to really rest up and, you know, just re-centralize. You know, got to thank the Most High for giving us the Sabbath as that one day to really collect ourselves and, you know, rest from our works. And then just boom, you know, get right back on the grind. Like I said, this is episode 3, and along with me, I have Aura, the informationalist. But before I bring him on, I just want to pretty much tell you guys on just how much of an impact he's played in my life. I know before the song was over, you know, I kind of brought that up, but I want to be specific because the Most High has a way of bringing people into your life when he knows you really need them the most. And honestly, I feel like he's definitely done that with Aura because from the moment he sent me an invite to be interviewed on his show on episode 129, Music is Timeless. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that we would build the type of, you know, foundational, you know, relationship that we have right now. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, Yahweh is very, very real, and he knows who to connect you with. And I don't think I've ever met anybody, you know, where we're just such kindred spirits. You know what I'm saying? We just have such like minds. And, you know, he's 20 years older than I am. But I mean, geez, it's like, I mean, he tells me all the time how, you know, he sees so much of me in himself when he was, you know, my age. And it shows just in the way our chemistry is, you know what I mean? Like we just have such like minds, you know, and we agree on so much. I mean, he really is a brother, an older brother at that for sure. And I just got to give him, you know, respect and thank Yah for bringing him in my life, you know, being a mentor, being a good guide and giving me advice, things that, you know, is going to make me the best version of myself, you know, the best version that the Most High sees, you know what I'm saying? Because I think we tend to think that, you know, we've reached a level where we can be, but man, you know, the Most High, you know, said the Most High, trust me, the Most High knows how far you can go. You know, he knows that you're capable and you're worth so much more than where you are, you know, and I'm just glad that I have people like Aura in my corner to like help me, to show me that, hey, you know what I'm saying? You're so much more than just this, my brother. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of potential within you, you know what I'm saying, to do great things, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, this podcasting thing was definitely one of them. I mean, he's already been helping me, you know, giving me a great first step, you know, just giving me pointers, you know, wisdom, you know, things that's going to help me out, you know, along the way. So, you know, I got to give him his respect, and I got to give the credit where the credit is due, and just thanking Yahweh Ben Yahweh and Father Yahweh Elohim for placing him in my life. So yes, you know, all praise to Yah, and, you know, much respect to Aura, the informationalist. So without further ado, I'm going to go along and bring him on. Aura, are you there?
Yes, peace. And shalom, brother. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yes, absolutely. How you doing? Did you enjoy your Sabbath?
Yes, brother. As always, I just been enjoying life every single day, and it just keeps getting better and better.
Yes, and it should. especially in these days and times where the Most High's people, we really are getting ready to, rise up and, come out with great substance. So it's definitely great to hear. And I just think that it's fitting for you to be on this show, because you have a musical background yourself. The Righteous Rap Academy, is a music commentary, podcast. It's what it specializes in. And you have a lot of musical, background and experience, coming from the Bronx and actually coming up in an era where the real MCs were at, you know what I'm saying? And not just, this new age, crap that we're pretty much, exposed to. So I guess a great way to break the ice would just be to ask you, like, what was it like, growing up in the Bronx with the music in your era? What was it like? I mean, do you feel like you connected a lot more, there, or do you still feel like there's remnants of, the music, that you came up with in the past, in this generation?
That's a great question. I think that if I go back to when I was just a child, like we're talking about 5 years old, I remember breakdancing on cardboard boxes outside of PS 136, which was elementary public school in Castle Hill. And I basically just gravitated to music in general, like all different genres. But of course, hip hop was one of the primary things growing up in the Bronx. Like I just basically really gravitated to it on the dancing part of it. It just made me want to move. And of course, Michael Jackson was a major influence in my life in the 80s. Michael Jackson was a heavy duty influence on a lot of kids' lives. And I just, just appreciated the spiritual energy of it all, to be honest with you, just the beats, the lyrics. And to answer your question, to not give you like a long-winded answer like I normally do.
Take all the time you need.
I just feel like the music today, it doesn't compare to the music I grew up with, just not even a little bit, I mean, one thing I will say about the music of today is that the production, and I'm glad you asked me this question because this is the best answer I could give you.
Okay.
I feel like production-wise, the music has evolved on a consistent basis. But when it comes to from old school to new school to college, that didn't happen lyrically. So I feel like lyrically, it went back to like romper room kindergarten.
It digressed. It didn't progress like it should have.
It's like even the old school 1970, 1980 rappers that would rhyme slow and be like, my name is ill and I like to chill on the block was real, like that type of rhyming. That had more of a kind of high level frequency of consciousness than the music of today, where it's just purely just demonic and sexual and just
every
so
song.
Just really so low level. Like even like the cadences and some of the lyrics where it just keeps repeating over and over the same line. I just find it to be so dumbing down, and it doesn't surprise me that a lot of the generations and I even see people of my generation listening to that type of music and really liking it. And I think that it's just it's really dumbed down people in the United States of America. I mean, on a level that I can't even express into words of how stupid it's made people, because it's really stupid music. It's really just music that has no substance. And don't get it twisted. Like there are artists out here that are really nice that you probably never heard of, and there's like artists like Chaos from Canada. You have artists out here from the United States that are on the ground. Like you still have your Immortal Techniques that are still putting out good music, but it's far and in between across the world. The majority of the world, especially here, that United States kind of sets the tone for it, is the majority just is this dumbed down, what I call this dumbed down derelict music where it just doesn't make sense.
And I have to agree with you because, I mean, like I said, I'm witness to these things every day I'm at work. I see the effect the music has on people. There's this one particular individual who I remember training because I work in a restaurant. I remember training him on a particular station. It's called a salad station, right? And the kid, I mean, he's granted, I mean, he's still like I think he's like 18 or whatever. It's his first job. So, when he first started out, he didn't really too much care, I guess, about the job. It's like I'm trying to train him but I found it somewhat pointless because he didn't really care, you know. And it's like 6 months later, it's like now this kid got like balls of steel. You know what I'm saying? He's like one of the most loud. At first he was very quiet. Like now he's just very, you know, he's just balls of steel, just very loud and just obnoxious. And a lot of that has to do with, you know, the music that he'd be listening to. You know, when we be at work, he just be, you know, he got like his speaker that he brings with him and just be blasting all of this like trap music and stuff like that. I'm like, I wonder why he behaves that way, you know, because what people don't understand is music plays such a powerful role in your life. You know, the music you listen to on a consistent basis is literally like looking in the mirror. It's a reflection of who you are. That's why myself personally, I'm very cognizant and aware of what I have flowing in and out of my ears. You know what I mean? People is going to have their preferences and things of that nature, especially, you know, older and you grew up in a particular era, you know, music that you were exposed to, you know, with your upbringing. So when it comes to music selection, it really does have to do with, you know, what you were exposed to coming up and maybe what your, you know, family, your parents listen to and things of that nature, you know. But I'm just like, from a personal standpoint, I'm just very cognizant and aware. So I don't just play anything. I mean, to be honest, the stuff that I mainly play is just, you know, things that are on the, you know, platform of like, you know, podcasters such as, you know, Yash Kara, you know, as well as you, and just instrumentals, things of that nature, things that I know where I listen to it, you know, it's not going to leave me in a very docile state of mind. You know what I mean? It's going to leave me feeling rather informative or enlightened. You know, it's going to uplift my spirit, things of that nature, you know, inspire me even. But I just can't really too much get with a lot of the, you know, music that's out today, because I know spiritually it comes from a dark place, you know, and that's really what it comes down to. That's what people I don't think quite grasp, you know, unless, you know, they understand this truth and they understand Yahweh ben Yahweh and Father Yahweh Elohim, you know, and they actually understand scriptures, you know, and how we're in a spiritual warfare, like the book of Ephesians speaks of. You know, I don't think they quite understand that the powers that be are the ones who have their hands over the music. Because I'm not going to lie, for the longest time, I always used to want to know, like, why is it that every song that and I have to allude to hip hop, because that's the one that people are it's definitely one of the most popular for sure. And I always used to think to myself, why is it that every song they do, like, why does the lyrics always have to be about killing somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like literally every line, like, why does it always got to be about killing somebody or taking somebody's girl or just something like provocative and derogatory? You know what I mean? Like, why can't it be something that's positive? Why can't it ever be something, you know, other than the norm or spiritual? But when the Most High lift the veil from your eyes and see that, you know, this world is not what it seems to be, that we really are in the Matrix, just like the movie, you know, those questions cease. And now you see why, because now you know the truth. You know what I'm saying? You know that kind of music can never be played on the airways of, you know, 95.3 or whatever your local radio station is. You know what I'm saying? It's just not gonna fly by. It's too high vibrational. It's too conscious. It's too uplifting. They just can't have that, you know? Satan is just not gonna have that, you know, playing in his realm. You know, it's too positive. It's too conflicting with the negativity that he needs in order to survive. You know, in order for him to thrive, he needs negativity. And how can he do that if he has positive music being played in this airway? Nah, they're not going to let that fly by. So that's why anything that does have some substance, some meaning to it, you're not going to hear about it, man. It's like me, much like myself. You know, if you were to go to like my Spotify or whatever, I only got like, you know, 40 some listeners, and I'm not complaining at all about that. All praise to Yahweh ben Yahweh, Father Yahweh Elohim. Even if I had 2 listeners, man, because that's literally all I had when I first started out. And I'm not, you know, I don't really too much pay attention to how many listeners I do. But if I do check it out, you know, every year in the blue moon, I will check it out just to see, like, you know, just to check it out, you know, out of curiosity. And I see, you know, the listenership and how much it's grown. I thank y'all for that, you know what I mean? Because even if it was just a few, you know, 2s and fews, you know, that's all that really matters. At least somebody has paid an ear to listen, you know, and I'm just thankful for him for that, because the Most High is the one who's in control of all that, you know. And it also lets me know that I'm on the right path, because if I started accumulating, like, you know, hundreds and millions of listeners, that's BS, man. That's bullshit. That's not going to happen, man. That's not going to happen. Not in this realm. because the music that I put out, it's anti what you hear on the radio. You know what I mean? I'm not making music degrading women. I'm not making music that's, pretty much compelling you to want to go into the streets and start, selling drugs and do drive-bys and shit like that. Start, toting guns, on your hip. No, man, that's not how I, try to project myself or, be viewed. All my music gives praise to Yah, like the Book of Psalms tells us to, you know what I mean? And that's pretty much the reason why you're not going to really have a lot of people, flocking to you. And you really shouldn't want a lot of people flocking to you, because just the simple fact that, if you're giving praise to Yah, you're going to have a low count of people listening to you and things of that nature. That right there should pretty much let you know that this 1/3 life is very, very, straight and narrow. It's a very, very thin line. And I'm pretty sure, you can agree. I'm pretty sure you've had those times where it's like people have bypassed you because of the content matter that you have, the subject matter. I'm pretty sure that they just can't get with it, on the network of awareness. You know what I'm saying? You just come off as too real to some people, But I guess I say all that to say, as another question, who did you really look up to the most? Because I know, like I said, you come from that generation of real MCs and real music. Like who really inspired you the most? Like what really made Aura? You know what I mean? Like what was the foundation, like all the pieces? Because we're just the sum of everything that we've been through in our lives. Me, I'm the sum of everything that I've been through in my life. Every step, every person that I've met. You know what I mean? Every book I've read, every last bit of knowledge that I've accumulated, every bit of wisdom, heartbreak. I'm the sum of all of that. And you having lived longer, obviously, been on this planet longer than I have, your accumulation is a lot, your sum is a lot bigger. But what do you think are some of those, influences that made Aura?
Well, I mean, a lot of the old school rappers like Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One, Poor Righteous Teachers, the Jungle Brothers, even some of the DJs like DJ Kid Capri and DJ Red Alert. We used to have a show growing up as little kids. It was called Video Music Box, and I think it was channel 30 on the regular TV. It was on regular cable TV that was free, and they had a channel on public access channel on 30. But what really did it for me, really had an influence, a profound influence on my life, is when I first started listening to Brand Nubian.
Okay.
And they had a song called One for All and All for One. And I think one of the reasons why I gravitated to Brand Nubian, because number one, they preach Black power.
Right.
And it's something that just resonated with me. Now, growing up in the Bronx, when you're these social constructs that we've been given, like African-American or Puerto Rican or Dominican or Cuban, these are all social constructs. They're not really who we are as people, but I'm just using it as a point of reference. In New York City, so-called Puerto Ricans and so-called African-Americans or Black people or Negroes, whatever you want to call them, we're one and the same. When I was growing up, my family, a lot of my family is Black. You're not going to look at them and say, hey, you look Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't. So and the thing in New York City, especially when I was growing up, especially in the neighborhood I was growing up, we were one and the same. And it's a lot of it has changed in perception to some degree, but in the reality of things, when I was growing up, I really saw myself as a Black man in the sense of how I'm perceived by white America, if that makes any sense. Because in New York City, we are the same. There is not you had your titles like Puerto Rican and this person is Black or this person was Jamaican, but we were all one. And when I heard Brand Nubian, All for One, One for All, and they were preaching Black power, it resonated with me because I gravitated to Malcolm X and I gravitated to Martin Luther King when I was little. I wanted to be like Martin Luther King when I was little. I remember 7 years old listening to the I Have a Dream speech. I really wanted to be like that man. I wanted to have influence over people like that and be able to spread a positive message. Now, obviously, we know the true message now as grown men, what Martin Luther King was really preaching. But as a little kid, it was inspirational for me to just see figures of black men in power. I also look at how my father looked at, black men. Like he named me after Reggie Jackson, and in the late 70s, Reggie Jackson was a black man that was highly revered throughout New York. You know what I mean? So I just gravitated to that. And Brand Nubian was the type of group that they was all about that shit, man. They was literally about that life, man. It was all about black power and education. And they were 5%ers, and they integrated a lot of knowledge of self. I never forget the rhyme by Grand Pubar where, and it's one of my favorite lines. He was like, a dip diver, a civilized an 85er. I gotta let him know the devil's a conniver. And that used to stick in my head, to this day. It's one of my favorite lines. And I can't even explain to you why, but I guess a lot of it is because what I do, that's kind of like what I do. I'll be like, a dip diver, a civilized an 85er. I gotta let him know the devil's a conniver. It's crazy how we're having this conversation, but it makes sense to me because in the 1%er, in their like, I don't know if you want to call it a religion, but it's kind of like a religion. But the 5%ers, they basically, their belief system is that the 85% is like how we would call the 2/3. So it's referencing the 2/3. So that line by Grand Pubar where he goes, I dip diver, civilized in 85, meaning he's civilizing the 2/3 by letting them know that the devil is a conniver, meaning that they are being deceived by devils. And in those days growing up, a devil was pretty much a white person, a person that was trying to control you. And usually it wasn't every white person. It was really like the police, people in politics, stuff like that. It wasn't your average Joe Schmo white person unless that person showed characteristics of being racist, and he was a devil too. But gravitating to that type of, that group, it really propelled me to want to be a hip hop artist. And the brother that gave it to me was a black guy by the name of Omar, who was about 3 or 4 years older than me. And we were in Boy Scouts together. So I was in Boy Scouts when I was around 11, 12 years old. And, I was already listening to hip hop. So I had influence with Criss Cross. Criss Cross had an influence on me. Cypress Hill for sure. Cypress Hill was one of those groups that I used to play their music a lot, I used to think that Be Real had just an ill rhyme cadence and voice, and he was Mexican. So it was just like, it's one of those things that back in the days you had, just people of color, so to speak, that whoever was a person of color, it was like they had a place in hip hop.
Right.
And white people were more like Vanilla Ice. You know what I'm saying? Like it was kind of like stay in your lane kind of thing back in the days. And, you had the Beastie Boys, but the Beastie Boys were just like an exception because they had good tracks or whatever and actual good production. But it was mostly a black cultural thing. And obviously later, things changed up, especially with the inception of Eminem. That really changed things a lot. Like it was a major paradigm shift when Eminem was brought into the forefront of hip hop. But I have to say Brand Nubian, bro. And then of course, Tribe Called Quest, man. Tribe Called Quest had such a major influence. See, these artists like Tribe Called Quest and Leaders of the New School and Brand Nubian, those were my main listen to music from like the ages of 9 to like forever after that, as a teenager. And those three groups is what really like propelled my rhyming ability. And then at 15 years old or 14, I got the first Method Man single. And that was because I had a friend that used to sell drugs with Raekwon. So he had access to their music before it even came out in the streets when they would sell it out of their trunks. So I literally had like actual Wu-Tang music before it even came out. I had access to it. And everybody from Castle Hill, when I went to camp I was working at a camp when I was 14 in some work program, and I was around a bunch of hood rats, you know what I mean? Like people from the projects. So when I had that music, I became everybody's best friend, you know what I'm saying? Because they never heard anything like that. And it's from New York, but nobody ever heard Wu-Tang like that. Wu-Tang really came onto the scene with something so unique. Method Man, like 36 Chambers, all that shit, man. When I used to play it, man, it was so unique. It was like the whole Shaolin and theme theme, and very creative concepts that, you know, RZA and GZA came out with. So these types of artists, and then of course Nas, which I know Nas had an influence on you, you know, even though we're 20 years younger, he had an influence on you. And I'm so grateful that he did, because it shows in your rhymes. But going back to your question, like the main groups though is Brand Nubian #1. And then of course you had Leaders of the New School. Now Leaders of the New School is Busta Rhymes' first group that he ever came out in. This is when Busta Rhymes was in high school, okay? When he was wearing backpacks and stuff and rhyming in school lunchrooms. And these brothers were a little older than me. They were, you know, I was just a young 11-year-old, and these guys were already grown men, at least, you know, as far as like anywhere from 18 to about 23 years old. And they just influenced me like no other. And the one that influenced me the strongest out of all three of them was really Brand Nubian, because they had a level of educational consciousness, which at the time they called street awareness. But they, you know, they were reading scriptures. They were reading the Quran. They were just getting a lot of it was really about self-knowledge and self-awareness. And that was that whole God body mentality where we're gods type of theme, where it was like, you know, that they were preaching that the Most High created us to be in his image. So we are gods. We are forms of gods. And I really gravitated to that heavily, man, as a kid, because I was just different and I thought at higher levels. So I had to gravitate to something that gave me that activist spirit. I had an activist spirit, you know, I had this spirit where it's not a coincidence what I'm doing right now, because I gravitated to Malcolm X the first time I heard of Malcolm X. I gravitated to Martin Luther King the first time I heard of Dr. King. It was in me. It was in me. It would give me goosebumps to hear them talk. Both of those brothers. Now, obviously one of them was a sellout and the other one, you know, got taken out. They both got taken out, but one sold out and one got taken out. They both got taken out, but one got taken out because he wouldn't sell out. And I don't know, man. I'm just so grateful to the Most High for those years of connecting to like groups like Brand Nubian, Leaders of the New School, because it put me on a level where when I was growing up in the Bronx, you had to develop a rhyme cadence that was yours. It's kind of like if you didn't do that and you sounded like somebody else, you wasn't going to get any respect, man. You just wasn't, man. And I remember as a kid, what I would do is I had a tape deck, and what I had was these, you know, these old school speakers, and then I would do a mouth beat and record the mouth beat through some, you know, those old like headphones with the foam on it, with the yellow foam. Those Walkman headphones with the metal lining that's attached to some yellow foam at the end. I'm pretty sure you've seen them. The old school 1980 cassette players and stuff. They call Walkmans.
So. Oh, Walkman. Okay.
Yeah. So I would take that and I would plug it in and use it as a microphone.
Okay.
And the foamy part would be a microphone. So I would do a beat and it would literally be like this, brother. I'm actually going to give you an actual kind of sequence that I would go through as a kid. I would go like this. I'll go. And I would do that for like 5 minutes.
You guys just heard it on the Righteous Rap Academy. That's about as vintage as it's gonna get for you there, folks.
So yeah, man, that sequence of a beat, right? I would do something like that, right? Now I would record that on the tape cassette. So then I pop the cassette out and play it on side B, or not side B, but tape deck B. So now I'm playing that beat that it's playing now. Now I'm pressing the red record button and play on deck A. Now I'm hearing this play throughout the speakers, the speaker, shout out to Spreaker, out the speakers, but I'm using still the headphone as a microphone. So now I'm hearing this dun, 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 and then I just start spitting my bars, and then my bars. Yeah, I'd be like, let me spit my bars, and I just be like, you know, I used to be like just spitting rhymes as a kid and just going to the, you know, creating a cadence to that sequence of the beat, and then I would record a song and then press stop and then and play it back and listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my form of production. You know what I'm saying? And I thought it was the best things ever.
Right.
Just hearing myself on a tape cassette like that.
Right. I mean, you start somewhere. And I'm pretty sure that's how, in the analog, times or era, that's how, tracks were separated from each other and recorded, right? Not like this digital age where everything is just, software based and you got your 1 track, 2 track, 3 track,
you had
and
your
you
VU meters and stuff. But you see, that was more advanced shit. What I just explained to you is about as bootleg as you're going to possibly get, but it was the ingenuity and the passion to want to do the music.
The enthusiasm. Yeah.
And that too, because it's like, that saying where there's a will, there's a way. Or like I like to say now, where there's Yah, there's a way. And it was just one of those things where it was in me, man. As a kid, I was a writer. I was a poet. I was writing poetry at 7 years old. I wrote a poetry about about winter, and I described seeing winter fall from a windowsill, and it was hot. I wish I still had it, man, because my teacher was like, I think I was in the 4th grade or 5th grade. Yeah, 7 years old. It was one of those grades at 7. Can't remember. Maybe 3rd even. No, because it couldn't have been 3rd, but it was like 4th or 5th. Either way, I remember at 7 years old, I wrote a hot ass poem, and I was told by my teacher that it was really great, and I had it in me. It's just one of those things that's ingrained in my DNA. It's like nobody ever taught me how to write poetry or how to write journals and do journalism and do all the things I do now. I was just doing it at a young age, and I progressively got better and actually held positions in doing these forms of writing. And, I did the reporting thing. I was an actual reporter with a press pass and all that stuff. So I gravitated to it heavily, brother. Like these groups, like Brand Nubian, man, they used to just, what they used to do? They just used to give me that goosebump music that had purpose in it and education of how to be aware of the social ills of society. And I'm just so grateful to those brothers, man. You hear it on my show a lot, how I talk about Lord Jamal, Derek X, and Grand Pubar.
And how much of an influence they played on your upbringing.
Well, not having a father. I had a stepfather who wasn't really a father. He was more of a provider. And I had to gravitate to Hebrew men. I gravitated to Hebrew men, not just in the music, but in the streets.
Correct.
And they looked out for me. I had a lot of people look out for me, when I was growing up, but it was specifically the Hebrew men that, really looked out for me. But I had a lot of problems with Hebrew men too, growing up. A lot of fights, you know what I'm saying? Got into a lot of fights, not like always getting physical, but there was always a problem. Like, growing up in New York City, especially I was considered this mild-mannered pretty boy. So I got picked on a lot.
Right.
So I used to have to just either be timid and back off, or there was times where I got pushed so far that, I had to fight. But it didn't really happen too much until I became a teenager, when it got really kind of bad. But that kind of passed by too. But at the same time, like when you have a good spirit to you and you're growing up in New York City, you're going to be tested a hell of a lot just because you don't have that aggressive nature to you. So you're considered pretty much a bitch, like you're like a pussy because you're just trying to be a smart kid. And if you speak articulately, you would be considered a white boy. That's how I was in New York. If you spoke the English language correctly, you was a freaking white boy, And I was able to do both. I was able to talk the slang, but I was able to speak in a more articulate fashion. So that's why I would, excel in school because it would interpret into my grades. I was never into school, but I used to get, really good grades. I got a scholarship to go to high school in the 8th grade and stuff like that. So intelligence was not something that I was lacking in, for sure. It was in my spirit as well. I was always a very perceptive and intuitive child, and it just gradually got stronger as I got older.
Well, you definitely stood out from your generation in a very, brightful, delightful, fashion, just by, what you just told me, being able to kind of, dip in and out, like, around the homies or the streets, saying, speaking all like slang, speaking more of that lingo that they hip to. But, at the same time, you can speak very articulately, and advance in school and things of that nature. And it definitely shows now because, a lot of podcasters, well, out of the various podcasters I've heard, you're very, very, very well in depth and in tune, with your work, and how you present things, like the quality, you understand the lane that you're in very well. You're really, really good with the technical aspects, even the, promotional part of it all as well. So it definitely shows how in depth and how detailed and meticulous you are.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I just find it very respectful that you come from an era where, your style had to be your style. You couldn't just, buy it off of somebody else, or you would pretty much get, your ass whooped, you know what I mean? Like how you told me. Do you think it's because of that reason alone that we're in a generation now where like the music really sounds all the same because they don't necessarily have the same mentality anymore? You think so?
I wouldn't blame the children of today not have. I think they very well much have the mentality to be very unique. Mm-hmm. I just think that Satan has he's had such a stronger influence on this generation now more than ever, because now it's like hip hop wasn't popular when I was growing up. It was making an impact, but it wasn't mainstream music. It was the music that had a lot of scrutiny behind it, right? Like even up to the days of NWA, right? Where they wanted to boycott NWA concerts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. There was no presidents like, I'm going to have NWA or, KRS-One or Nas, sing at my inauguration or rap at my inauguration type of thing. It was nothing like that. It was considered the music that was perpetuating the violence that really the government was perpetuating. And the music was just expressing all of the conspiring factors behind why we live in the conditions that we live in. And they demonized it a lot. So for me, I think that now it's like, and certain like comedy movies show you this, where you go into a studio and there's a bunch of A&Rs and some dude that looks like Lil Wayne walks in and they're just like salivating at the mouth because they know that they're going to mold that young man into whatever they want. And they want to dumb down the music really bad to the point to where they did. And I used to blame down south music, like South Coast music, because I used to think it was trash. But what I realized when I woke up, like, even Too Short to me was an artist that he was very he became very famous because he was very consistent and persistent. But I felt like that type of rhyme wound up becoming popular with this new generation where it was very simple. And the simple rhymes started to become popular, and the rhymes that were more complex and in depth started to lose some of its popularity. And they purposely and systematically, with the hip hop industry, it was very much like the 60s, and how the 60s, you had a lot of black influencers that were all taken out through some way, shape, or form, whether it be through drugs with the Black Panthers, whether it be through a gunshot with Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, or bombings. You had a whole entire 60s movement of consciousness that was completely wiped out because these serpents in America just couldn't have that type of vibration being uplifted at that time. So they had to destroy any possible social awareness. Mm-hmm. And then what they did with hip hop is they killed, or a lot of people died that had that social influence or awareness and was really making an impact on the lyrical prowess, or they sold their souls. And I think about Big Pun dying. I think about Tupac getting killed. And not that Tupac was really that conscious, but he had it in him. He had the ability to where...
He had the charisma to lead. Yeah.
He had the ability. Like, and at one point he was a conscious rapper when he first started. It wasn't until somebody told him that shit doesn't sell records. Because if you listen to some of Tupac's old music when he was lyrical. He was like us. Literally like us. And then that song in Above the Rim is a perfect example of it. That song is high vibration, man. I forgot the name of it. But it's insane, man. It's really like fire, man. That song is insane. But I just feel like the music today, it just sucks so much, man. It really is. And even, I know some people think that, my comments about this is somewhat biased, but it really isn't. But to each his own. Everybody's going to have their own level of perception when it comes to it. I think Drake sucks. I think Lil Wayne sucks. I think on any given moment, if I was 14 years old, I would rhyme better than them. That's just me though, but that's just my opinion. But when you say stuff like that, you seem like you're a hater.
Correct.
But I just know that they suck, not only because of who they serve and what they're doing, but I just think that they're not as good as people perceive them to be when it comes to writing music. And I know that
Right.
because I've been around some of these artists that thought they were hot, and I came into a studio or a meeting at a conference and they hear, me and my people's rhyme, and then they wanted to go get a sandwich, instead of actually trying to compete or, try to not even so much battle, but just like show their lyrical talent.
Right.
But when you have a certain energy and a certain spirit on your music that is kind of praising Yah, because we were calling Yah God at the time, but it was spiritual rhymes. A lot of MCs just couldn't mess with that, man, because it just carries a certain vibration to it that it's so different from the norm. When you give praise to Yah in your music, but you got a lyrical prowess and gift to it to go with that, it's damn near impossible to stop. Like it just does something to the opposing force.
Correct.
It kind of it brings their
listening to
energy
heavy
down.
mentals.
Yeah, it just brings their energy down, and that's why that kid that was on Making the Band, when we came through, it just diffused him. It just it sucked out any of his juice that he had going, because the juice that he needed to try to spit a rhyme that would be able to either be compared to that or be just as good as what we displayed, he didn't have that juice. He didn't have that essence to bring about something that was going to be able to compete with it. So he decided to go eat a sandwich instead.
Right.
And it's not a knock on him. It's just, I understand it now that I'm an older man. It's just like, it's like if I was trying to battle an angel, you know what I'm saying? It's like, as a fleshly human man, how am I going to beat an angel? How am I going to, even if I try to spit bars against an angel, it's like, I don't have a chance. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a chance. Like it's pointless. And I used to see that a lot because it resonates a different energy. But when you were talking in the beginning of your show, I thought about my stepsister's boyfriend that I met one time. This when I was younger, and I was letting him hear some of my music. This was when I was around 19 or 20 years old, and I was just starting out with Chosen 33. And he was like, all right, that's hot. He was friends with like the people from Big Pun's entourage. So he knew some Terror Squad people, and I knew my shit was hot at the time. Like I knew I was spitting bars and it was really lyrical. And if somebody with Terror Squad would have actually heard me, they would have thought the same. But this dude was just a hater. And he's like, it's all right, but I don't like to think when I'm listening to music. And he said it to me like to disrespect me, like to belittle me. And I just looked at my sister like, this is the dude you're dating. But that was the reason I brought that up is because a lot of people are like him. There's really people that don't like to think. Like we was talking about it yesterday on my show, right? Where we were talking about the people at the Travis Scott concert, and you were saying they're thinking in a certain way, and I'm like, nah, bro, you'd be surprised how much of them are not even processing one thought in their brain, literally. And I know that as a father, I've seen my daughter go through those motions. I've literally seen my child not process a conscious thought at all in her brain, just completely like just air, like nothing there, And it's possible. It happens a lot with the youth today, where they're just, and it's really not their fault too, because it's just the changing of the zeitgeist of how these demons work in all factions and facets of life, with commercials and entertainment and movies. I mean, it's just a very intensive dumbing down process that's happened in this country for the past, let's just say about past 50 years, maybe even more. But I'm in my mid 40s. So I would say since I was a little kid, I've seen that progression happen, especially in the music, but it's happened in a lot of aspects of life here in America.
Correct. And that's what they want. And that's what the powers that be like crave more than anything, is to put you in that docile state of mind. And they've succeeded because, like I said, to just do everything that you hear particular artists talk about on a song, it just goes to show you the type of, not just the power of the music itself, but just the level of control that they have, because it's all about control, and I just feel like we're at a time right now, in a generation where it's like, the control is far, more up there than ever before. That's why they have to, dumb you down with the music and, the food you eat, I'm saying? Everything is, GMO'd, and, you got the chemtrails and things of that nature. We just live in a realm where it's just nothing but confusion, like all around us. To where if you don't have the Most High guiding you and leading you, you're going to get lost. Like I know yesterday you were talking about, not trying to go too far deep into the rabbit hole. hole in regards to like, the industry and things of that nature. It's kind of like that, you can get, lost in the sauce, if you don't have the Most High, guiding you in this day and age, with all these distractions, and it's sad, but I mean, it's nothing that, the Most High himself haven't already foresaw. You know what I mean? Most of the people that you, come across in just your day-to-day life, it's almost like zombies in there. I literally remember one time, clocking in for work one day, like, like literally, I just like, man, I literally just felt like I'm just around all these, all these people, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I see dead people, you know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, man, I mean, and it's not a knock to nobody. And it's not that I feel like I'm better than no one, you know what I mean? Because, I'm not perfect myself. I'm just a human being, right? Learning and growing from my experiences. But I don't know, man. That's just the vibe I was feeling. I was just like, man, I just see dead people, man, just zombies, bro. You know what I mean? And that's like, once again, like I said, that's what they want. They want you to be in that docile state of mind. And on top of that, you got this, well, let's just say V word, right? That they're injecting.
Yeah, I was just going to tell
everybody.
You that. Say the V word, brother. Say the V word.
Right. But yeah, they're injecting everybody with it. That's making them even worse. I actually have, some coworkers who've already taken it. Not everybody, but, some twos and fews who already have taken it. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, if it starts really taking, its toll on them, already so far, because there's these two elderly women that work at my job, who works the same position that I work, and it does require you to have some physicality, the type of physicality that them at their age, being in their 70s and all, that they just can't really, keep doing, basically. And so one of the sisters, I don't think she even works there no more. And I'm thinking that the vaccine, oh man, I just said it.
That's okay.
But I'm thinking that it has something to do, with that, for sure. Because, once you take that, sooner than later, it is going to start to, take its course and changing you, internally, inwardly, spiritually, you've already, marked yourself. But, from a physical standpoint, it's going to start taking its course. The changes is going to start happening within you on a mental, cognizant level, conscious thinking, things of that nature. It's all going to start to take place sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about it, brother, is that it's like it's guaranteed to mess you up eventually.
Absolutely.
There's no escaping it. Through all my research, I've been trying to find if there's people that can survive this, and there's no way out. You know what I mean? Like there's no exit. It's like when you go into a gang, blood in, blood out type of deal.
Yeah.
It's literally like that. It's guaranteed. Like they've thought this out very well. That's why your best option is to just not get it.
Correct. But, people are not going to really, listen, because once again, people don't want to think for themselves. I know you just mentioned to me how you recounted one moment or instance where your daughter, like she literally didn't have any conscious thought, like whatsoever. I mean, people, believe it or not, want to be in that state. They don't want to think. They just want you to just pave the way for them and lead the way for them. They don't want to have a conscious thought for themselves. It's easier because it's just easier that way. Most people would rather you tell them a lie than tell them anything that's factual or truth. Because, with truth, you have to, start changing your ways. You have to start doing things different from the way you used to do them, and because the things that you used to do, you're just so used to them and you're very glued to them. They bring you pleasure and comfortability, but to change and strip that away, it's going to make you start feeling uncomfortable. You don't want to change, so you rather just stay in that lane of comfortability and people just telling you things and all the things that you've been brought up on. Like the planets and the schooling and how America came to be. Actually believing in Benjamin Franklin creating, electricity and things of that nature. All these things that's been fed to us, from out of like a textbook or whatever, all these lies, basically, you find yourself clinging to them because once again, people don't want to, live life like how we should be living it. I'm saying? Getting closer to Yahweh ben Yahweh and Father Yahweh Elohim and, living in a state of awareness pretty much. Okay, I had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
But
awareness is everything, man.
Absolutely. I'm not sure how long we have been on air.
I think we've been on for just a little over an hour now.
No, just a little over an hour.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, folks. This has been a great show. We were able to bring in, Aura, the informationalist, and, interview him and, get a nice scope of perspective in, his life, his upbringing, influences, especially in regards to music, because he himself is quite the seasoned MC. I know you guys heard The Power of Music with me and Aura, how we were able to, put that together, with help of Yahweh Ben Yahweh, Father Yahweh Elohim. And just so you all know, that right there, what you heard from him, that was just a little sneak peek for what he's really going to be, dropping soon, very, very soon, just very soon. Wait for it. It's going to be hot. You guys are going to be like, oh my goodness, I thought The Power of Music was something. Yeah, he's getting ready to drop some things that's going to blow your socks off, man. And it's just been an honor and it's been a privilege, working with him, him mentoring me. And honestly, I mean, working with him on just, that song alone, I feel like has definitely made me, myself personally, better. So, I always got to give credit where credit is due. And before we pretty much sign out, is there anything that you would like to leave the people with, Aura? Just as some lasting words of wisdom and impact, substance?
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I would like to say is that I'm looking forward to seeing your podcast grow. I'm looking forward to seeing how people are going to be influenced by it and what they're going to be able to get from it, the great substance that they'll be able to take with them after listening to your episodes.
Correct.
But what I would like to say to the listeners is that, especially those that are aspiring to be artists, is to just not live in fear. We have a lot of fear going on these days more than ever, and just really find the truth within yourself and don't be afraid to express your truth, because I think that a lot of people are afraid to express that which they really want to do, and they kind of just settle for what they have. And the second thing I want to say is don't be afraid to be different and don't follow the norm, because the norm is mediocrity. It's complacency. And if you really want to be a great artist, you have to find your own style and develop it, because it takes time and it really never ends. But if you're a teenager, I would say stick to it so that by the time you're in your 20s, you have a style that people can identify and say, hey, that is that artist. And the last thing I like to say is that when you live in the present, there's always an opportunity for a new beginning. So be present as much as possible. And that's pretty much it. That's it, brother. And Barakatah.
Couldn't have ended it much better myself. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Once again, this is episode 3 of the Righteous Rap Academy. It was me, myself, Take One, and Aura the informationalist, and signing out.
All right. So, brothers and sisters, I hope that all came through with no issues. And I think it did. So that's a good thing. And like I was saying earlier before we played this podcast, as you can hear that, that was somebody who, and I'm talking about Take One, that had no real understanding of podcasting, because he did find his voice later. But for somebody who's never done it before, that has no idea about it, he did a great job in having an interview and keeping the conversation going and adding his input. And at that time, I believe he was 22 years old or 23. It's like either 22 or 23. But just goes to show the level of insight that he has at that age, which I think is pretty amazing for the norm of what a lot of people are thinking and how they're behaving. Because actions speak louder than words. And a lot of times you can tell what type of action people take at a young age based on the things that come out their mouth. Usually they go hand in hand. So I hope that this episode, in listening to a past episode from the Righteous Rap Academy, kind of gives you a reminder that certain things that you let go of doesn't mean you can't do them again, especially if you're really good at them. And also, too, something that Take said in the interview that made so much sense about that he's the sum of everything that he's been through. And he actually mentioned another podcaster, right? And this is the man that sold Discord. And it's true, because if it wasn't for me getting on that man's platform, I wouldn't have a relationship with Take. I wouldn't have been able to do the music. So we have to appreciate everything we've gone through in our past, whether it be good or bad. And at one point, it was good until it got bad. And what's interesting is Take said that he followed these podcasts because it doesn't leave him docile. But then eventually that podcast did leave you docile. That podcast left you very it put a certain energy on you when you would listen to it, where you think you would have this self-righteous indignation that put a really ugly energy on you. You would have like somewhat of an ugly aura to you. And considering the woman that I got into a relationship with, that I met on that podcast, on that platform, it's like the proof is in the pudding. You know what I mean? It's like if it was ever to be refuted, it is now irrefutable. There's a lot of ugly people that are on that platform, and it shows in their personality and their behavior. And that's why you got to be careful with the company you keep. But more importantly, make sure that you are completely devoting your spirit to that higher level, to that true meaning of what the word talks about, the true meaning of the Most High God, because that is the truth. And if you pursue that, that energy is going to look out for you. That energy is going to safeguard you. That energy is going to guide you. That understanding is going to bring you great wisdom to move forward. And the way that spirit works, it guides you, and sometimes it puts you in peculiar situations and predicaments that are very challenging in trials and tribulations, but it's meant to guide you to bigger and better and greener pastures, so to speak. It's as long as you stay faithful to what is true, you will be guided. And there's going to be certain things that you get into that may seem to be good, and they're going to serve their purpose. But when it's time to move on, you move on, because those things are just meant to be a stepping stone. They're not meant to be forever. And that platform was definitely a stepping stone for Take, as well as for myself. And I give all praises to the Most High that platform is no longer a part of my life, because I was, like my friend Billy said, I was so far advanced from that dude that he said it would blow your mind if you really understood why. So with all that being said, since this is a live broadcast, I want to take a music intermission. And for people that want to share music and want their music to be played, you can contact me at networkofawareness.com. There's a contact page where you can put your info. You can submit your music. And then if we play, it's only $75 to keep your music on the platform forever. But it gets played from the immediate time that you submit it. It'll get played 5 days in a row, and then stay in that constant rotation, not just on this podcast, but all of the podcasting platforms. So just keep that in mind. So with that being said, I'm going to play some music, and then I'm going to come back and end this bonus episode. And before I go to play the music, this bonus episode is one of many. Like, I'm going to be stacking up another 2 episodes of interviews I did right after this. And it's important that we continue doing what we're doing. And when we're planning, that we just be patient with our planning and putting things together. And that's what I'm doing. I'm planning my season 6, putting some things together so that season 6 is going to be a lot of pre-recorded episodes in advance to fill up the calendar, as well as Passion Pursues Purpose. So with Passion Pursues Purpose, I'm putting episodes together. So I'm going to have a whole entire season completed for Passion Pursues Purpose, which is my other podcast that emphasizes on personal development. And I'm going to put a whole season of episodes together for that podcast. And the seasons are going to probably be, most likely, I'm thinking 18 episodes per season. So for that, they're all going to be pre-recorded and laid out on the calendar schedule. It'll probably be 1 to 2 episodes a week. And with the Network of Awareness, we're probably going to modify the calendar as far as frequency as well. So instead of doing 5 days a week, I might just do 3 or 4 depending on what my schedule's looking like, because I have things that are coming down the pipeline that are going to be consuming my time. So there's a lot of planning going into effect. That's why we're doing these bonus episodes until we come out with season 6, which I think I've already spilled the beans, but season 6 is going to be the light within and out of you. So the season 6 is the light within you and all around you. All right. So with that being said, let's play some music. And this is a song by Demon Slayer. It's one of my favorite songs, man. It's definitely a song that gets me pumped up. And there is going to be a part 2 to this. That's all I'm going to say. And then we're going to play some more music from Take and some of the other brothers and sisters that have submitted music. And of course, I'll be playing some of my instrumentals and some of the music that I have as well. So enjoy this intermission on the Network of Awareness, and we will be back.
Nothing like
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
How you doing?
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place.
Abba help me through my suffering. Demons on attack, but I can't fold. I gotta gird up again. Pain up in my heart, and I just really need your perfectness. I'm gripping on your sword, it cut both ways, but that's my medicine. I can feel it in the air that we so close. I can feel it in the air, we need your hope. I can feel it in the air that this the hunt. I can feel it, I know you feel it. I can feel it creeping, lurking, searching for me, trying to break my soul. No, I won't let you hurt me no more. I've been seeking the Father up in my soul for real. I've been seeking the Father, he put my flesh in the dirt and put my soul in the field. Touched by divine and husbandman, protect me from my own will. Just a servant, I'm looking to help my brothers overcome their demons and keep pushing to the mark, I know he real. I've been fighting for my life and the only man I trust is Christ, cause he saved my life so many times I know I should've died. I give Abba praise cause his mercies always be magnified. All the lust and evil in this world, you know it's finna die. And I know you know it's do or die. We gotta repent cause there's not much time now. Guard your soul because it's going down. Guard your soul because it could be now. Abba help me through my suffering. Demons on attack, but I can't fold. I gotta gird up again. Pain up in my heart, and I just really need your perfectness. I'm gripping on your sword, it cut both ways, but that's my medicine. I can feel it in the air that we so close. I can feel it in the air, we need your hope. I can feel it in the air that this the hunt. I can feel it, I know you feel it. It don't matter, no looking back, yeah, we on the path. Chasing the kingdom, narrow path is the only path. Messiah said repent, so I follow that. I wanna be safe when the king come, I put my head down. Most High help me through it all, I pray my prayers pierce through the clouds and land at your feet, cause you are glorious. I'm going through attacks, depression deep down, it hurt me inside. Keep my enemies at bay, I pray you bring all of the thunder and the lightning and the fire upon these demons that tempt me. My enemies trying to make me fall, I flee it. I know we being hunted, so the shield of faith my defense. Shield of faith, it quenches all the darts like Aquafina. I swim in living water, my environment to deepen. Hallelujah, Abba, wanna be close to you like Peter. Thank you for your mercy, I'll keep praying for our people. I know I'm not deserving, but I gotta warn them of their evil. Abba help me through my suffering. Demons on attack, but I can't fold, I gotta gird up again. Pain up in my heart, and I just really need your perfectness. I'm gripping on your sword, it cut both ways, but that's my medicine. I can feel it in the air that we so close. I can feel it in the air, we need your hope. I can feel it in the air that this the hunt. I can feel it, I know you feel it.
And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ.
Ooh, ay, ooh, way, ooh,
Stop it.
bang, ooh, You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendo. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendo. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendo. I'm a PlayStation type of guy, but I like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. Keeping your head up, don't walk with your chin low. Never thought I'll have second thoughts while I'm living life. Everyone has something to say, even when I do right. When I swerve, they be all in my way. That's a move I despise. Hiding my frown with a happy face, master of these skies. Hopscotch on your planet, better take a better look at these skies. Like a book from an intellect mental, that is word from me wise. When it comes to facts, we don't care about your feelings, so be advised. How do I express this? Reppin' that Texas with the Oklahoma vibe. Shout out to all the women that chose to do me dirty. Special thanks to you, now nothing in this life can hurt me. Girl, you was never worthy. You open your legs up too early, but I don't stop believing, like the music band Journey. Wall Street reincarnate ancestors on my side. All this energy that flow up and down to my spine. I don't play game, that's a lie. Even though I got a PS5, gravity I defy. All I do is raise the vibes. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. I'm a PlayStation type of guy, but I like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. Keeping your head up, don't walk with your chin low. Never thought I'd have second thoughts while I'm living life. Everyone has something to say, even when I do right. When I swerve, they be all in my way. That's a move I despise. Hiding my frown with a happy face, master of these skies. Hopscotch on your planet, see me jig in these skies. Keep it real with your tribe, everywhere I go I survive. Don't mess with me no more, you left me out to die. I don't care if I'm solo, but I still have my lights. Snap back to your reality. Can't you see that the rent due? Stash that in the attic, please. Royalty in the upper room. Don't be impatient, yo, talk to me. Baby girl, what's the issue? Price tag on your third eye. Now your body being you. This dude said he won the box. Bro, you're not even an athlete. Since you won the box, you can come and get a jab or a shot like a vaccine. It's sad to see with you that it had to be a disconnect, the path that I had to flee. But it's good to know and see you sit back and watch me elevate the rap scene. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. I'm a PlayStation type of guy, but I like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. You haters wanna play games, boy, I'm too much advanced, y'all be like Nintendos. Keeping your head up, don't walk with your chin low. I know the world don't like me, but who cares?
When the vibe is universal.
Down, it all comes.
My aura is a network full of awareness and gifts like Aura, the informationalist.
It all goes left before it goes right, but that's life, so you know how it goes, right? Tell you I done been through the mud and the dark nights. Always had a flow, but I've been through the bar fights. Not a big dog, but I got a big bite. Always been fly, I've been known to take flight. Learned all my lessons, never make mistakes twice. Never dim my shine, cause I've always been bright. Always been nice with the hands, so I know how to break a nigga down. Just in case a nigga come around, I'm ready. Once you get a nigga mental in that zone, I'm deadly. That's why I prefer to be left alone. You can't really tame a beast that is meant to roam feast as long as my heart beats like a metronome. Graduated from the streets with a cap and gown. Even I know what goes up will come crashing down. Down, down, it all comes. Down, 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 it all comes. Down, 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 it goes all the way. It goes all the way. It goes all the way. Crashing down, crashing down.
Have you hated or ever been hated on? Watch how I debate this while I go and play the song. Am I wrong or am I right? While I'm writing, see it was written. Ha, I knock him out like I was Tyson. Ain't no tie, son, I've been down, down. See, I've been spitting for a minute. I am different, I'm the one. They say I'm gifted. I just want the big money to go and match the lyrics. Ha, and then you crash, burn, feeling like life cheated you from your last turn. Feeling like I was a bad sperm from the ex, bugging with the heat, yeah, mash burn. They notice the way I talk. I think they really hate me cause they know I'm from New York. I adolescent and caught. I swear I made it a sport. A Bronx nigga for sure. Spiraling down, now fuck out of here.
Down, down, it all comes. Down, 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 it all comes. Down, 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 it goes all the way. It goes all the way. It goes all the way. Crashing down, crashing down.
Not a day my hands ain't to the east for the Father. The prayers of joy balances out my sorrow. Intuition tells me I'll see a better tomorrow. It's emotionally taxing, living in this hellhole. My faith is more part of me than my marrow. Keeps me from sinking down, freaking out. Keeps me grounded down like a century smoking at the barrel. With God, everything is crystal clear. He gives me strength and new things to engineer. He's with me every day, no reason to live in fear. As long as I stay in light, the evil will disappear. Lord knows I love my family, each and every one. Thank you, mama, thank you, papa, for everything that you've done. Raising me up since an infant, up until 21. Did my best as a son, but now I gotta run. Things will only get worse before they get better. But the storm ain't meant to last forever. Even when the light is dim, the sun finds a way to shine again. Things are getting ugly, things are getting cold, but I know it's best to stay in my zone. And I can't stop now, I can't stop now. Yo, I can't stop and won't stop, I gotta keep propelling. Final destination is a room in the heavens. Diligent and militant as well as my medicine. I can live without or have, but his love is my everything. COVID is on a roll, got the world on its toes. So many sheep with their eyes closed. Hey sir, can you please put on a mask? Man, kiss my ass, stop living by what the news told you. You got injustice, brutality saturating the streets. Blood spilling for no reason, thanks to the police. Meanwhile, syringes are being taken with speed. Can't do it, you ain't sticking no vaccination to me. Despite all the chaos, I still manage to stay on the right path. Gotta keep my focus and my faith strong. All day long, let spiritual music play on. All the honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh. So only get worse before they get better. But the storm ain't meant to last forever. Even when the light is dim, the sun finds a way to shine again. Things are getting ugly, things are getting cold, but I know it's best to stay in my zone. And I can't stop now, I can't stop now. Can't stop, I won't stop. 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 Can't stop, I won't stop.
Bruh, this shit don't stop.
I got 5K on Z.
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
Shout outs to all the network of Awarians. They've been sticking it out with me since day one. Peace and blessings to all of you.
Please just tell me what's happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo.
Speaking of a blast from the past, it's called that funky flavor. This is for my haters, especially the ones that are real grown and old. This is like a bad frequency to their ears, but oh well. This is a Tightrope Tuesday. So keep your balance, brothers and sisters. Let's go.
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
My aura is a network full of awareness and gifts like aura, the informationalist.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
Gotta move on. Yeah. Look at my heart. Yeah. I feel ripped apart. Yeah. This is hard. Yeah. Gotta move on. Yeah. I feel ripped apart. It's hard to feel. I feel ripped apart. It's hard to fade. It's hard to fade. Yeah. Gotta move on. Yeah. Just look at my heart. Yeah. I feel ripped apart.
Shout out to my brother Demon Slayer. Shout out to all my brothers and sisters that are slaying them demons. Keep it going. Keep it flowing.
Yeah. Gotta move on. Yeah. I feel ripped apart. It's hard to fade. I feel ripped apart. It's hard to fade. It's hard to fade. Ripped apart since a young age. Ripped a hole in my heart, hey. I'm hurting, yeah, I'm hurting. I got a purpose though. So I can't give up, I'll never give on up. Lord willing, we can stay up. In my darkest days, I remember the only way to take away the pain would be to split the pain up in my mind into different aspects. My mind split, ripped apart, glass shattering. It ain't no game, I be hurting way deep down inside. No suicide, just clinical depression for real. I never wanted to die, I always was scared. Always was scared, yeah. I never knew what was on the other side, but now I know, so now I really fear the most. I said I never knew what was on the other side, so. But now I know, so I fear the Most High. In Christ, He saved my whole life, that's right, it's real talk, no lie, no lies, no lie,
My aura is a network full of awareness and gifts like Aura, the informational list.
You are now tuned in to the Network of Awareness.
To trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take the freedom.
In the mix.
I done made mistakes on purpose to divide the word from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been a lot before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, soul searching, networking and murking. Anytime think I drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourishing till I perish.
Yahweh's gonna save the awakened, then take him to an ageless haven. Patient, I can't stray away, gotta keep obliterating the pavement. Still remember that day on the phone, Mark, he said, yo, don't you take your foot off the gas. Always something to give y'all praises.
We're the dark oasis, countless cases, a peak of faithless. I'ma need the patience, defeat them chases. We seek his graces for true salvation. We keep on praising, we go on blazing these revelations. Cease to hate, no altercations. Good vibrations, we back to basics to build foundations. Now defeated Satan. I done made mistakes on purpose to divide the word from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been a lot before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, soul searching, networking and murking. Anytime think I drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourishing till I perish. People pursuing acts of violence, stir persistent act of defiance, freely forming a righteous alliance, truly against the science appliance. On a mission with wisdom and guidance, steady defeating the ignorant science, sealing convicted and non-compliant. Spiritual wars to move in
Let's
silence.
talk about what matters. Drop the vanity. Folks out here losing their sanity. Kids popping off, lost in fantasies. People grieving over loss of family. The evil that be with the power, turning the people with credence to cowards, seeking to seize believers with vows. Man, even Stevie can see that it's foul.
I done made mistakes on purpose to divide the word from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been a lot before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, soul searching, networking and murking. Anytime think I drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically
service. The mental malnourished until I perish.
Depression gone with every song. Music led by another echelon.
To get you strong, keep pressing on. Long after we dead and gone.
From dusk till dawn, we're righteously armed with spiritual lessons from Yah.
We where we belong, we keep it on. The righteous with third is Zion.
Records embellished with heavily eloquence.
Elohim's presence presently evident.
Intricate elements, infinite intelligence.
Spiritual specimens lyrically resonant.
The gift was inheritance, smaller percentages.
Carefully measured and meant to be shared.
With the message projected, cemented, embedded.
The sensible question is, what will you get from it? Made mistakes on purpose to divide the worth from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, so searching. Then working and murking. Anytime to drop my curtain. With a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose. To lyrically service the mental malnourished until I perish.
Yes, brothers and sisters, thank you for tuning in to the live broadcast of the Network of Awareness. And we got more shows coming up today that we're going to be putting out pre-recorded, and they'll be on YouTube as well. This show will be transferring over to YouTube via audio. So if you like to listen on YouTube, make sure you download the shows. Download the shows and support. We got some great things coming in the very near future for the Network of Awareness. So stay tuned and share this information for anybody who's looking and desiring some awareness. Because awareness is everything. In an age that's got the veil all over your eyes, all over your face. So peace and blessings. And when you live in the present, there's always an opportunity for a new beginning. And don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel, because the light is and always will be within you. So light up that tunnel and find your way through the darkness. Peace, love, and light, and all praises to the Most High.
My aura is a network full of awareness and gifts like Aura, the informationalist.
Life is an unpredictable and amazing journey. Our ever-changing conditions within today's society and the constant new trends influencing cultures can become overwhelming, to say the least. But no worries. The Network of Awareness podcast radio show brings peace of mind in these challenging times. Follow us on your favorite podcast listening app and join our community of Network of Awareness at networkofawareness.com.